On today's episode of Warehouse Safety Tips, we're going to be talking about the proper way to handle materials. So stay tuned. Welcome to Warehouse Safety Tips. If you're a seasoned vodcast viewer, this vodcast is going to be different from most that you watch. It's based around exactly what the name implies, warehouse safety tips. And since the people in this industry are busy, we know that time is money, so each episode will be as short and to the point as possible. And now, with all that out of the way, let's get to the vodcast. On today's podcast, we're going to be talking about the proper ways to handle materials. If you've worked in a factory, a warehouse, or any facility whatsoever, you know that you're going to have to deal with handling materials, and we want to make sure that you do it properly and you do it safely. So we're going to give you 5 simple tips today. These are by no means the end-all tips on how to do it, but it'd be a great way for you to get started. The very first one we want to talk about is load limits for you and for machinery. If it's something that you can handle, by all means, lift it. Make sure that if you can't lift it easily by yourself, that you get a friend, and that if you both can't handle it, it's going to be something that you're going to want to use machinery for. That could be everything from a pallet jack, a lift truck, to an actual tote motor itself, but make sure that you know the load limits. The second thing is going to be proper lifting. Make sure that you do one of a couple things. One, make sure that you use your knees and not your back. The next thing is going to be keeping everything close to the body. Make sure that when you do lift, you don't use your back, but your legs. And lastly, make sure that you don't twist. Now, that is going to be the same thing if you are using, say, a lift truck. 2 of those things are going to be very fitting. One is going to be make sure that you have your load as close to your truck as you can, and make sure that when you're traveling, you keep your forks as close to the ground as possible, but yet not dragging them. And that is going to help you from possibly hitting somebody, poking something, and or not being able to see over your load. And again, just like you wouldn't want to twist with a load and hurt your back, you also don't want to make a sudden movement while you're driving a lift truck, because you could absolutely lose your load. So make sure that you don't do that. The next thing is going to be make sure that you secure your loads. If you're carrying a load, make sure you got a good handle on it. If you're carrying it with a vehicle or some sort of a pallet jack or something of that nature, make sure that it's good and secure, because if you make a stop or a turn, you don't want to lose your load. So make sure that you do that. The next thing is going to be using the appropriate equipment. That could be you and another staff member, or it could be a pallet jack, it could be a lift truck. Just make sure that you pick the right thing for the right job, if that's a human or a machine. And then lastly, make sure that you always have paths cleared in your factory, warehouse, or facility, so that people coming through either with something in their hands, or if they're using the machine, that they have a good path to get through your facility, that they're not going to have any debris in their path, and that they have a nice clear path to be able to see what's in front of them, what's on the side of them, and that everything in your warehouse, your facility, your factory is clearly marked for both storage, where people are going to be traveling, and where people can and can't walk into. If you do those things, you're going to have a great start to proper material handling. And we've got to thank you for being part of another episode of Warehouse Safety Tips. Make sure you have a great day, stay safe, and here is a word from one of our sponsors.
It's scientifically unexplainable. It's virtually indestructible. And it's taking over the entire planet. But in a really good way. It's Mighty Line Floor Tape, the most durable floor tape in the world. 7 times thicker than average floor tape, beveled to endure pounding warehouse traffic, and backed with a super strong peel and stick adhesive, so you'll never have to worry about painting shop floors again. Mighty Line Floor Tape, the only durable stripe.